Welcome back. Welcome back. Another Friday, festive Friday, a spring Friday. It was 82 degrees in Detroit yesterday. Not bad. We have a very, very special session today. We got Art here. We got Kevin and John and myself, the four musketeers, as it were. Today is a special edition. We're going to talk about robots and androids, and maybe we should probably even start with what the difference is between the two. But we've actually done show prep, which is unusual because we don't do that. But no script though, because I hate scripts. But yeah, we're going to talk about androids, robots, how the dealer channel might take advantage of that. I'll kick it over to Art. Art's going to introduce us. Stay tuned because there's going to be at least 120 minutes worth of content we're going to squeeze into 60. So Art, take it away. What are you going to start with? What the difference is, or what's a robot?
Well, I thought you were going to take care of that.
I got it. A robot. Think industrial, out on the shop floor. All right, and not necessarily bipedal. Humanoids and androids have the face, the arms, the fingers. They look like a human. All right, that's what I got out of it. So like a robot would be one of those things that are in the back warehouse where Amazon is. It's a flat thing that moves boxes around. That doesn't mean that there aren't bipedal robots on the shop floor. Mercedes-Benz bought or was a BMW, one of those two guys bought a mess load of these bipedal android likes. They pull parts off of machines like a human does. All right. So the way I look at it is a humanoid android is built to fit in a human environment, where a robot is built to fit into an environment. So like a robot on Mars is a robot, right? Because he's tractors and things like that. The robot that goes to defuse the bombs in what movie was that? Pick your movie. Die Hard or whatever. When that bomb robot goes in, that's a robot. All right.
Right.
Yeah. That's my
GM, Ford, all the companies that manufacture cars, those are robots.
Yeah, they fit into a process of some sort. And then that's the physicality of it. The whole AI and LLM and intelligence, you put that into an android or humanoid looking mechanical, you're talking a whole nother ballpark there. But so anyway, those are the differences to me. How about you, Art, right?
Yeah, those are the differences. So it comes up. Why are we talking about robots and humanoids?
Good question.
Kevin?
Well, it's interesting for sure, but it is a future, right? So there's aging society and there's tasks that need to get done that maybe are mundane to some people but need to get done. So there's business productivity, there's quality of life. There's things that, robots don't take breaks, so you can always run them. They're always available, and I think you guys kind of hit on it. There's different forms of humanoids and robots. I'm certainly not an expert, but I think the exciting thing is that you can train them and they can understand natural language. So to me, the brain of whatever the device might be and how that's interpreted by people, maybe they're more comfortable with a humanoid instead of a robot. But the point of using a natural language model and talking to it and it learning infinitely and the knowledge that it can have is the exciting things, because robotics have been around a long time. Like you guys said, they've been on assembly lines, they've been, going to the moon and all these kind of things. But the LLM behind the scenes, to me, that's what's making it really special.
Interesting. John, what do you think, John?
So in my definition of both, I would think robots are task specific. You build a robot to put wheels on a car. You build a robot to weld, these 10 spot welds on an auto body frame. They are industrial. They are programmable. They are not what I would think in any way intelligent. They do what they're told to do. They do it well. They do it repeatedly. There's a lot of repeatability in that. Humanoid androids, whatever you want to call them, are more general. They can interact in a world designed for things that look like us. So therefore they look like us. So they can grab things that have handles that are, sized for a hand that is this big. So they're more general purpose. They can be, with the right teaching, with the right intelligence, with the right, AI, they can react and interact with their environment that a robot just simply can't. If that tire isn't where it's supposed to be, the robot can't pick it up. But an android can see what a tire looks like. If it's, a foot over on the left, they can move over, pick it up, put it on a car, or help a person get out of bed, or help, wash floors in a hospital, whatever it is. So that's my 2 cents.
Sure. Cool. So, all right, take that big picture, and I really want to boil it down to the copier channel, the office technology channel. So when you take a look at what we do, right? We sell devices, we deliver those devices, we service those devices, and then we retire and return, right? So that's broad. But within that, we do needs assessments. We establish relationships with financial institutions so that we can lease those. We stock inventory that for service parts, supplies, if there is any needed supplies. We can dispatch, which means we have dispatching software, which means we have ticket tracking, which means we can do service either remotely or dispatch a tech. We have techs that have trunk stock. We know how to manage those types of inventories, finished goods,
Yep.
service, everything. So if you just look at it, line up what an office technology dealership does, just on the basic quote unquote copier side. Then you add the folks that kind of jumped into IT and advanced like digital workflows and things like that. That's a higher level of knowledge that kind of fits in with the androids. All right, because like you said earlier, they're not robots. The androids are more generalists, I guess. So an assessment would be very similar, believe it or not, to like an MPS or an IT assessment, is how your existing processes work and how an android would fit into that, right? So there's all sorts of parallels. I think the biggest parallel is the fact that we have technicians, we know how to dispatch. And here's another thing, the financing side. Because I've contacted 3 different OEMs. We're going to call the robot guys OEMs now. There are maybe, let's say there's a dozen of them out there that are viable. There's hundreds, but a dozen viable. And they're all in the stage of, how are we going to make this thing walk? How are we going to make it walk faster? How are we going to make it do these things? They're barely scratching the surface of, well, how are we going to sell it? How are we going to support it? How are we going to install it? That will, they're in that mode. If we build it, they will come kind of thing. Sure. So I've talked to a few of them. If anyone is building out a dealer channel right now, it's very elementary. It may go to a distributor and then directly, and it's more B2B. So they're selling. No one's really tapping into the B2C side yet. But one company, and I forget the name of it, they're doing robots as a service, RAAS,
Yep.
right? Are out of Chicago, and they already have a quote program set up, because it's very similar to how managed services, say Great America, how the white box managed services first started, right? You didn't want to build a NOC, didn't have the money to invest in all the technology and everything, so you could white box it from someone else. Very similar to how the robot as a service model is working right now. Right now, they are dispatching service directly from the manufacturer. But you guys know that if it does catch on, there's no way they can scale that, right? They're going to have to work with third parties. Something, again, we're used to. Right? So it's interesting, Art. I've got a meeting with him next week to go over in detail the program. Yeah.
So I got a note on that. There's a company out in Oregon called Agility Robotics.
Yep.
And they are already using RICO to do their national service and support for their humanoids.
Yeah, that announcement was like, I think March 5th or something.
Yes.
It was recent.
Yeah, yeah. So it's pretty interesting. They're nowhere near mass market. They're maybe making 4 or 5 a month or something like that. Cost is $250,000, but they are offering a RAAS model
Yep.
like what you were just speaking to, which is actually pretty interesting. They hope that with their new factory in it's somewhere in Oregon, that they can get up to, I guess when they scale it properly, 10,000 a month.
That's pretty good.
But if people didn't think, I mean, it's on the way. I mean, it's here. It's
Yeah.
it's now. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. And the
It's not
timing,
when, right?
everyone I talk to, everyone I listen to, the timing is a lot faster than what everyone thought, right? And we're talking 2027. That's 24 months. That's less than a 3-year lease on a copier.
Yeah,
So, boom, it's here, and it's not going to be like, oh, we can tiptoe into it, do managed services like this, or we'll wait and see if managed print is really going to be something. Well, I don't know if these connected copiers are really going to take off, or boy, people are still going to want black and white instead of color. If you're in that mode of consideration, it's blown by you, because hey, there's going to be firms that are going to be just they're going to come out of the woodwork. We do robotics, we don't do copiers, kind of mentality, that kind of talk track. Same thing we've met before. We manage computers and networks. Why are you going to let the copier guy come in and manage your network? Are you crazy? We're going to have to go up against that. But right now, on paper, we have probably one of the best models available that already exists. I'm not saying
absolutely.
it's going to be easy, right? There's going to be technical issues.
Yes.
And I think the most difficult issues are going to be people issues. If a dealer didn't want to get into MPS because it was too technical, what's an Android going to do to him? I'm worried about that mentality. It's easier to sell water than it is to think about selling robots. Is it? I don't know. Or EV chargers or whatever it might be. But
The advantage goes to the early adopters.
get in and get in fast. I mean, who got into 3D printing? I don't think anyone did. But it's interesting that you brought up the Rico partnership. That's very interesting. That's on a global. No, that's North America, by the way. So that's pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
it's North
cool.
America.
Yeah. And then these robotic and Android firms. If we just stick on the robotics, right? Their warehouse. And the biggest thing that they've got to get over is they can sell their devices to enterprise, to large manufacturers, and 90% of that market is SMB, is small manufacturers. So what they've got to do, and they're doing it, is bring down the price, obviously, but make it easy and adaptable to existing systems that are out there. And every small business manufacturing house, don't matter what you look at, it's all different. Every single one is different. Each shop floor is set up differently. Each CNC machine, there's a different process for how you make a widget or screw or cassette players. So it's got to be very, very customized, but still fall within a model that is easily mass marketed. So does that sound familiar? It's everything I look into. It sounds a lot like what we've gone through, right? And so, but the Rico partnership is one. I think if we concentrated on the manufacturing side, a real B2B approach, just think about how many manufacturers you service right now with copiers. Probably a lot. I don't, in Detroit, oh my gosh, the suburbs, there's 100,000 probably.
Right.
The lowest price I saw for a real live, and you might have come upon this too, Art, is 85 grand for a real live functional Android / robot right now. That's what they're guessing, and they want to bring them down to 10 to 15,000.
Right.
That's to own it. That's to own a robot outright. 85 grand. So that's one person's salary for a year.
Yeah, that's not even fully in too. That's salary. That's
Yeah.
not labor, sick time, whatever, but all that stuff. Yeah, I mean those arguments are. But I still
So-
remember the first time they put a
Right.
paint robot up in Ford, right? Back in the 70s, I think. No more guys with the
Right.
sprays painting the things as they come off the line. These robots, these paint booths are now just all automated. It was a big deal. It was a real big deal. A lot of guys
Does-
lost their jobs. They went elsewhere.
Does anyone know how big the copier market is as far as you know,
What the TAM? I don't know. I used to know. I've forgotten.
right?
I did some numbers. So
So
I have a 9-page report prospectus right now on the robotics and the copier industries parallel and what would, what matches, what doesn't match. I think their TAM, it was at 1.7 billion or something like that, but the growth is 17% a year. This is
correct.
just one flesh. I mean, I didn't go deep into this.
By 2029, it's supposed to
2029.
hit $3.8 billion in 4 years. Less than 4 years. Less than a 60-month copier lease.
Yeah. Yeah, this is fast stuff. And I think we talked about it earlier, is we're talking robots, single function, right? And there's plenty there. There's plenty there. That might be of all of them, that might be the easiest talk track, right? It's the same thing. Tell me how you're doing what you're doing now. I can show you how this thing will do it better, faster, cleaner, whatever. Again, though, and they're not slowing down. They're integrating AI into these androids. So, I mean, we're talking the receptionists will come back because they're androids. It's just crazy stuff. But of course, the big thing is going to be the B2C, when there's, like we talked about earlier, when there's a robot in every house.
Right.
And so I think on our side, if we were to approach property management firms, right? Your new apartment includes a robot or an android, or your new office space has 2. They do the recycling, they empty, they do all that stuff, whatever it is.
Vacuum the floors. We got
I'll start with the
Zumbas or
Roomba.
Roombas. Roomba, yeah.
Oh.
It's gonna vacuum, take out the trash, keep monitor of your inventory in your refrigerator. There's already a lot of IoT static kind of devices, but there's movable ones. Like the vacuum robot can go around the house and do those things. So it's just adding to those capabilities, right?
Right. So yeah. And then so the conversation I did have, because when you were talking to the robot guys, right, if we're talking to them, the last thing they're considering is a copier scenario, right? So you've got to explain to them, when
Correct.
I say copiers, this is what I mean. And then the light bulbs go, oh, okay. Starts to click, and they run with it.
Right. But a lot
It
of
was-
them haven't even reached that point yet in their production and support.
No, their go-to-market is not that. Their go-to-market, and we're generalizing, and it could change in 90 days. But most of the go-to-market is, it's got to work, right? It's got to work. And they're at the investments, the VC stage. They're happy to get 100 million investment this
Yep.
week, right? To R&D and develop it. So they're still at that. But now's the time to start, making the calls, and because they do have senior vice presidents in charge of sales. So there is someone there who's going to have to worry about a quota someday. So, yeah, it's. I didn't think it was going to be this good, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be pie in the sky kind of stuff. It was more strategy, more Blade Runner, and less Office. Right.
Right. Well, that whole Blade Runner was all about planned obsolescence, right? X
Oh,
amount of
yeah.
years,
That's
the
right.
robot's done.
Right. Well, here's something. My conversations with, they're still talking about, hey, this robot needs to be serviced. They have no doubt in their minds. These things are working 24. The guy said to me, they're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're gonna need something. They're pneumatic. They're not pneumatic. They're whatever the heck. The servo motors. What was the guy saying? The robots might have 3 motors, for example. Whatever. I have no idea. An Android could have like 50 servos in it. So, oh, right. So, talk about moving parts.
Yes.
The Rico agility.
Yes.
They have their own. Oh God, you guys will love this. They can update all their robots from a central location. So like yes, they can do a ROM upgrade.
Firmware update.
Yeah, firmware updates. Like,
That's just MPS. That's managing printers and scanners and it's
monitoring.
managing
Oh
robots.
man,
Centralized control of your robots. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's not unnatural. It's just it's a different kind of device.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They think they're the first to do it. It's like funny. You know, I mean, I'm just joking with them. So, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Um, and what his argument was, if you have a new production workflow, okay, yeah, you put a new machine on the floor where there's something new, a new part. All right, which is as you may or may not know, as you can imagine, is a very difficult thing. You've got to retool the whole
Mhm.
floor. You've got to blah blah blah. Well, in theory, you just upgrade the firmware, add the new process, and the
Yeah.
robots will go from there.
And you
So
could probably even optimize the process, right? Give you some ideas on this Kanban's not working right, or
right,
bring these parts to the floor. This is the new process, or wherever it might be. Yeah, the learning capability is amazing, and that's a game changer for sure.
it is. And
Mhm.
I'm kind of backing off the robots fixing the robots thing. I think that'll take a little while. I think right now humans are going to have to fix the
Yeah.
robots.
I think that requires a level of dexterity that just doesn't exist at this point.
Well, I heard of this new robot called the Cricket. It'll load paper and what? Fix the what does it do? If
Calibrate the screen.
calibrate the screens, it'll get in there and reach in there and not scrape the fuse or whatever with
Change
a
the
wedding
staples.
ring.
Really?
Change the staples.
Yep. Take the toner out, take the waste toner out, put it back in the supply room, and then send out a notification that we need more.
Well, Art, you're in the channel every day. I mean, what do you think the response is going to be from ownership? Like, because we've already splashed this week pretty good.
Ownership of what?
Dealers, dealer
Dealers?
ownerships. Yeah,
Well,
principals.
I I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a tremendous amount of interest because we have problems in our industry. We have problems, and our problems are an aging tech workforce, right? Um, we can't hire. We can hire people, but we don't want to. People don't want to come to us to that their future is going to be fixing a copy machine, especially if they do research on a copy machine. They'll know that print volumes are down, and they're entering a market that's on the downward curve rather on the upward curve. In addition, dealers are pressured with reduced print volumes. They're pressured with higher costs, and to hire a technician at $30 to $40 an hour to fix a copy machine isn't gonna work, and nobody wants to learn how to fix a copy machine for $20 an hour.
Yeah.
So our industry is under tremendous pressure, especially as our machines get more sophisticated, right? So with that level of sophistication comes a little bit more user involvement. So years ago, an MFP or a printer, they were only black. They only had one toner cartridge, right? At the time, most of those machines would recycle their toner cartridges. So there was no waste. But there's been the shift. The shift is now to color. So instead of one cartridge, there's 4 toner cartridges, right? Instead of a direct static placement of the toner onto the paper, the manufacturers have moved to transfer belts to transfer the image better than that static charge that they used to give.
Oh, yeah.
All of the machines now have waste toner containers that they never had before. We all have these big screens now, right? We never had big screens. So there's day-to-day issues like don't know how to do the staples. With the sales told us, but we forgot. I don't know where to look it up. Oh, the toner cartridge needs to be changed. We don't know how to do that or don't want to do that. The screen's a little bit wonky today. Could somebody come out and recalibrate that screen for me? or I don't know how to set my paper tray to accept 1117 sized paper, right? So there, and you look more at enterprises, right? So you look at companies that have 50 machines, 100 machines, 3,000 machines, and dealers are getting inundated with having to support, how can I say, not real service calls?
Oh, well, yeah. Phantom. Right.
Right.
They're human generated, they're hallucinations.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. But yeah, it's like you just had to turn it off and on again type fix
Right.
or
Right. So
something.
if in the enterprise companies, if you can take away, if you can take away X amount of service calls, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for dealers or a win-win for manufacturers. And Kevin and I discussed, think about the win-win for dealers when they can go to hire somebody and say, oh, we're not only copiers, we're doing robotics as well. You can come to our copier team, but graduate to our robotics team, because we do have a robotics plan in place for the next 10 to 15 years.
Well,
You know,
whoa. That's it. That's the story. No one, I wonder if, I mean, I doubt, or maybe they are, but whoever's putting together a 10 to 15-year plan based on copiers, it's got to be nuts, right?
correct.
I mean, that can't. I mean, what's holding me back from jumping on this is like, well, we've been saying this since 1999, since 2000. You know, the paperless office is coming. It never really did, but I can't imagine, and I bet you people are making 10-year plans, business plans based on copiers. Versus, we just made a relationship with XYZ company out of Boston, Massachusetts. We're going to take a look at distributing their androids. And it works for a little bit, but then you can build a 10-year plan on that.
Yes.
That you can build a 10-year plan on. That might be the key. So,
and Greg, if I could just add some color to that. So you described a scenario with MPS, and like it sounds like it was a difficult transition because you have to learn software and learn proprietary systems and stuff and whatnot. But selling this kind of future is actually easier because you're taking the data from the machines that you already have. You get usage statistics because you want to bill your customers, or you know how many service calls, or you know how much time. The point is there's a bunch of data you already know. This is your intellectual property as a dealer. You know that based on your customers, okay? So what the skill set that they should learn, in my opinion, is take a simple project and a robot, just a robot that moves and simulates some activity, right? Doesn't have to have this $85,000 robot, but
right.
it moves around the office and go to machines. It could detect it. Maybe it could look at it and see this is this kind of machine or this kind of manufacturer, right? So some simple detection, but just the robot itself should be simple at this level. But the point is, you're using your data to create the brain for this robot that can run on the edge. It can run around. It's a self-contained system. Your value add is, okay, I want to know all the people in the company because I want to personalize that robot. So I want to know Kevin and his birthday and John and his birthday. And when the robot goes over, hey, John, I noticed it was your birthday today. You want me to sing you happy birthday? Or did you have a tough weekend because you say, my fantasy football was terrible, right? So a little personalization, that's value add. You're making that interactive speech with the robot, but then it could do things like okay. And then it needs to know what the error code on the machine was. And, can you go power cycle the thing? And so this is a strategy. This is what I'm saying, right? Take the data that you have. It's a strategy to build a robot or an android or wherever it might be, or humanoid, to do these activities, but it can apply to so many different things that you are becoming an expert at gathering data, customizing the LLM and creating the AI, that can be ported to anything, a lot of other use cases too. Doesn't have to be repairing a copy machine, but in the house, like we talked about, right? If you get, get details of audio visual stuff and then get all the schematics on that, and then all of a sudden that robot can be doing the audio visual in your house, right? Or the coffee machine, learn about the coffee machine and the kinds of coffee and tea it can make, right? So this can be expanded like infinitely, right? And the personalization of it is incredible. So and as the robots evolve, then that will become better and cheaper. So the mechanical part of it is going to happen really super fast, and the economies of scale will happen on there. But creating the brain for it is really super exciting, and you got to get all kinds of data sources and that intellectual property that these dealers are well positioned to, my God, make a really smart MFP robot, because that's what they know very well, right? So make that MFP robot, but yeah, it can get, in the office, it can go get me coffee after it delivers the paper and puts the paper in the machine, right? So it could do things like that. And it could be that therapy robot that, Greg, we've talked about a few times, right? That's important,
I
right?
have a therapy PT. Yes.
Hey,
It's called
John, you've been listening a lot. Where do you think this talk track is going?
Oh, I don't know. Everything that moves, every machine that moves eventually needs fixed.
Yes.
So there is no, I think there's no better industry out there than copiers, because what other industry still makes house calls?
no one.
There is a force of reasonably smart people, technical people that are out in the world, and I think that's an ideal fit for these copier companies. And Ricoh has been in the robot market for years and years. They've been fixing the warehouse moving and things 24/7 for at least the last 10 years. I know people that I used to work with at Ricoh that are on call 24 hours a day for robotic support
Really?
in warehouses. And all it is a moving platform that picks things up and puts things down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those have been around forever. The guided robots, the things like that. What do they call it here? I just opened it up.
It's materials, something to do with
Material
autonomous
handling.
mobile,
something like
autonomous
that.
guided, articulated robot arms, machine tendings, robot systems, fulfillment systems, stuff like that. So they have the workforce out there. It makes sense to me that they partnered with Agility. Yeah, Agility. And why not? It's a machine with motors and switches. It's not much different than a copier.
It's not.
So
it's actually simpler.
it could, yeah. Because it's smart enough to tell you what's wrong.
There's no static. There's no heat. We're not
Yes.
melting anything.
Yes.
There's no pressure.
Yes.
There's no.
Yes. No abrasive
Right?
dust that gets everywhere.
There's no foreign material to go through the machine and then come out of the machine.
Right.
It's like
Exactly. So yes, it makes a lot of sense. And I would imagine there's other things that workforce that's out there can be, doing as well. Robots, copiers, I don't know, water machines.
There's a
Go
graph
fill the
somewhere.
water cooler, right?
Well, that's peripheral. The real labor force is there's a deficit coming. There's a deficit. I saw the graph. I don't have it, but it's coming to where we don't have enough labor to apply to these things.
Yeah.
Not that nobody wants to do it. We just don't have enough people. So, I mean, this all fits into the AI thing that is going on right now.
Absolutely.
It is crystal clear that, this has something to do with, we're going to be totally different in a decade. What we do is going to be totally different. Then this spins over to the UBI, the social structure. When this is in the United States, the rest of the world is going to be trickle and waved. This is huge. It's almost too much to even try and contemplate. So that's why I like to really boil it down to a dealership in New Jersey can sell robots and androids to a couple businesses out here. my buddies up north in Rochester or wherever near Detroit can sell androids and robots and service them and make a living out of doing that to
Mhm.
like the 150,000 small screw manufacturers here.
Sure.
Toledo, Cleveland, Chicago, Madison, Milwaukee. It hits right there. That's I mean, I love talking big picture, but this really does hit at the gut.
And I'll also say this about this stuff is that you think it's off hands to small people and small businesses. Like, oh, I have to go to Microsoft or I have to go to OpenAI. That's not true. There's so many good open source LLMs. You can create your own AI. And again, it's based on your knowledge you could take a general model, but it's your knowledge that can train this thing. And you can train it not through coding, just by telling it, reinforced learning, and
You can train it by just working with it.
that exactly right.
It's
So you can train it to do greetings
oh yeah, yes,
when it walks past somebody. They can give a greeting.
dude, it'll go way above that.
Yeah.
So so what
It's-
happens when the humanoid says, "Here's Johnny,
Run, run.
all work and no play,
Oh my god,
makes cricket a dull boy."
you just aged yourself. There's
Yeah.
going to be 50,000 people that aren't going to know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
Wasn't
thinking
it-
more along the lines of, "Hey, Johnny, here you're having problems at home."
Alexa told me that you fought 2 days ago. Hi, is
Your
everything
wife posts on Instagram. Oh,
Uh-huh.
geez. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I can. So I've been using, all right, ChatGPT for like GPT for 27, 28, 29 months now. All right. And that's very fortunate that I got in at the very beginning because they just released this whole memory thing. Right.
Yes,
So
I saw
it
it.
remembers. It remembers.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary because I forgot. It's like,
So
What was the first
it's
question
kept
I-
everything everyone's ever used ChatGPT for.
Well-
on your mini platform.
and there's some
I-
caveats. There always are some caveats.
Oh,
But-
okay. Okay.
But for instance, I'll be querying it, I'll be talking to it. It'll pull something out of its hat and go, how in the hell did
Yeah.
you know that?
Yeah.
Right.
I do the same thing. I'm like, how did you remember that? I couldn't even remember that I
And
fed
isn't
it
that
that.
it just remembers, it
Yeah.
applies that memory
Yeah.
to whatever I'm talking about at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
I was like,
right. Shake your head. It's like,
Wow.
we have lost control. That's it. That's it. Now we just got to ride the wave and go with it. Cause there's, I feel bad for people who are just getting in. Their ignorance is bliss.
it's not too late, Greg, but you got to start now. I mean, I
Yeah,
keep
you have
saying
to
it
start now.
every show. You got to do something. You got to get involved. Just go to OpenAI and just like create it and reverse. Yeah.
Shit,
But you
ask
got
for a
to
recipe. Just do
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
Do something, and then
And-
keep it's.
And you'd be amazed at things it can do because, like I said, create a spreadsheet, create a PowerPoint, create a table, and it'll spit out something. If it spits out nothing, then hey, it's not capable of doing this. But you kind of push the limits, right?
Yeah.
And it can learn to do things. It's just unbelievably crazy. But
If it's confused today, it won't be next week.
exactly
That's
because
the
it's
crazy thing
Mhm.
about this. It's like I remember, putting stuff in. It goes, that's ridiculous. But I
Mhm.
remember when I told this story over and over and over and over. Like what was it? December after November, I threw in a needs assessment. Here, tell me what I should do with this, and it worked. It freaking worked.
But I'll tell you this too is that I experienced this. It's a little bit stubborn. Some of them they have a personality. Like Llama, like Gemma's fun. Llama's like serious. I forget which one it was, but I fed it some error codes from the MFP, so I was testing it, and I knew I had fed it error code 009, and it meant paper out. And I said, "What's error code 009?" And it said, "I don't know." And I said, I said, because I just fed it to you in text. And it checked again and it said, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I missed it." I said, "Why did you miss it?"
Yeah.
I really was talking to it like this.
Yeah.
And it said, "Well, I'm an LLM and I learn on reinforced learning, not just like one time." Like they explained to me, and it kind of made sense that it learns patterns, not just upload data one time and then it goes into Never Never Land. But
Kevin, it's like working. It's like working with a new human.
Yeah, it is. It
I'm
is.
not kidding. It's
That
like
never forgets.
it like, dude, I told you not to use an M dash. Why the hell you keep using an M dash? I was
Yeah,
like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Jeez, I just talked
yeah.
to that, but certain things.
But that's the point, is how they can get smarter automatically over time, right? They become so smart, they can consume so much data that, when people say, "Oh, I'm afraid it's going to take my job and stuff," yeah, I don't think yet, but I mean, at some point, it's
Yeah, yeah,
gonna do stuff. Yeah,
it's going. Yeah, I mean, now we've branched out, but it's going to change everything. I what 29 months, and I still can't envision the peak. I can't see where it's going to peak and then start to level out
hmm
because there's we're
and
talking about freaking robots now, and
another thing, it's not just like a toy anymore. I mean, maybe OpenAI found the monetization holy grail, because they're predicting 170 billion in
yeah, they're it.
2029 or something.
That's it.
I
They're
mean,
yeah.
and that's just the software portion of it, right? If you add the robotics, you can, train your thing, and then the robotics and the androids, right? That's going to be a whole huge market too, because now I've created intelligence. Now you can apply it to the robots to actually do physical stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, in the real world. And then
Yeah,
they're going to do physical stuff. They're going to have sensors, the six senses, six human senses. So they actually become part of the
yeah,
real world in 12D or whatever it is. That's a huge it's a huge step for people who get it. But what I love about it is like people who don't even think that way, it doesn't even matter. It's like, okay,
yeah,
yeah, I got a robot or whatever it is, an android, took my kids to the daycare, whatever it is, right? It's going to be taken for granted, and that's the big key. It's going to be everywhere and taken for granted. Um, I had a really good conversation earlier this week, and see what you guys think about this. Now that we're on the subject, so like the what is it, Copilot, right? Copilot is in
Microsoft.
Microsoft
Microsoft. So like if you're
Office,
in
yeah.
Word, Copilot is there. If you're in whatever, Copilot is there. So they're adding Copilot to all their applications, right? The trick is though that all the applications are going to be inside AI. That's the fight they're fighting. It's like you said it earlier, right? You did spreadsheet stuff inside an AI without Excel,
Yep.
Yep.
right?
I just did
I'm
PowerPoint today
right.
without inside AI.
It's in so everything's inside AI. AI isn't inside everything else. They're going to try and do that, but ultimately AI is going to envelope everything from email, right? I don't need an email anymore. I've got my AI. I don't need Word. Geez, I haven't looked at Word in God, wow, 12 months,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
It's
right?
I, I saw a TV ad last night for Grammarly, and my wife and I were watching the TV, and I go, they're dead. They're
They're dead.
done. I don't see
Grammarly was
why
one
they're
of the first
spending
ones to
money.
go, actually.
Yeah, I don't see why they're spending money on an ad. They're done.
They're fighting for survival.
Yep.
That's it. And Salesforce, any of the CRMs, HubSpot, they're going to go away. All these apps you can't add AI to it. AI is going to envelope that. And I'll tell you why, because all those Excel, Word, Salesforce, HubSpot, they have 4,000 functions, and you and I, we might use
we'll use them.
6. We don't need all that stuff. So that's where AI is scalable right to what I need, right? I don't need to, even Canva, right? I need a cool looking
Uh,
a slide. Boom.
I'm done. I had Canva. I canceled it. Don't need
Right.
it anymore.
And I get the feeling that OpenAI doesn't care anymore. They're just blasting through stuff right now. That
Yeah.
that whole imaging thing that they brought out like 2 weeks ago, it's impeccable. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yep.
It 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 discharged Canva and all sorts of other Photoshops and Adobe. Who needs it? I listen to I joined a group. They're out of London, but they're all creatives, right? Film, music. These guys are going nuts in a good way. They are grabbing onto AI. They don't care about actors anymore. They don't care about writers anymore. And these guys are talented creatives. They're grabbing AI and taking it to like 2 or 3, 4, 5 levels above. It's incredible. So I mean, it's a huge shift. Politics, holy crap! The EU has fallen down. What did he do today? Was that yesterday or today? He said AI in education. Some big deal, and all the educators are all a flitter because they can't use chalk, they can't use an abacus, they can't use calculators. They'll never learn. Mm-hmm. It's Well, we started off talking about robots for copy machines, and now we're talking about.
Well, I think, I think people using AI will actually increase their creativeness and
Absolutely.
expand their minds as to what if, right? Probably the biggest question in our in our lives is what if?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Not. But why not? Everyone can be
Right.
a
You
Steve
can't
Jobs.
do that. You'll never get there.
Yeah. Why not? That at that level, Art, you're absolutely right. It blows up everything. There are no experts because everyone is an expert.
That's right.
That's huge. That's huge. So, anyway, wow. So, Art, let's talk about the consortium. I have documents that are approach documents for if I'm a dealership and I want to work with a robotic OEM. I have a document. I have another whole complete argument as to why a robotic or Android OEM would want to work with the copier niche, the industry, leverage that.
Okay.
I've reached out to 3. I have an appointment with 1. The other 2, the other one was Rico's Allegiant or whatever that company was. So that's really
right.
I have a was it? Oh, geez, I have a pet one that I like. So I think this consortium idea is a great idea. I guess is what I'm saying. I mean, I've already got traction in 1 week worth of work.
Right. Right. And I've got traction from one OEM committed, right?
When you say OEM on our side, right? Like
on
an
our
OEM?
side, yeah,
Okay.
to our first meeting. Second, I spoke to today, really liked the conversation, and basically the statement was, we need to start somewhere. We need to start at some point in time. Someone needs to kick this off. Right? The third person I could only speak to for 5 or 10 minutes because they were getting on a flight. Said definitely let's talk on Monday.
All right.
So John, you're familiar with the consortium, right?
No.
Oh.
So we can what the consortium is. So
hit him with the value prop, Art. Hit him.
The value prop. Consortium is would be a group of like-minded companies. They can be competitors as well, but they all want to get to an endpoint, right? And that endpoint, right, for us right now is providing proof of concept of proof that we can develop a robot that can take care of the mundane tasks in copiers and printers.
Okay.
So you get this group of minds together and businesses together, and they shape how we as a group can get there.
Okay.
And what happens after that is talk track for Kevin or Greg.
I'll take it. So yeah, so that's one part. The other part is and Art, correct me if I'm wrong, right? We're making this up as we go. Is how the dealer channel can embrace the new Android and robot market, right?
Absolutely. That is the end game.
Yeah. So I love the talk track. I didn't think it was going to be But then when Art sent over that little, not little, but the documentation on it, I go, okay, that makes sense. Of a robot that would walk around and do what it's got to do. But then after this is a great idea. The consortium should be about every good consortium that's come before us, right? I mean, there were plenty that were out there just to elevate the industry, right? Competitor versus competitor. There's no competitors. It's the whole. I mean, it's getting almost cliche. Is what is it? The rising tide raises all ships. Yeah, it's a cliche, but it's real. It's true. This, I think, is the next best. It isn't the next best. I think this might be the best thing. This might be the best thing. I believe that if we have a good consortium of folks that want to get together, we establish relationships within the industry and then outside of the industry. Because just in my conversations in the last 72 hours is they're really good at building robots. Can't sell them way out there. I shouldn't say that. They can sell the shit out of getting money from VC. They know how to get money. It's like, holy crap, dude. All right. But to get it to the market, they still believe in if I build it, they will come. To a certain degree, that's true. But in the B2B world, no one's better than this channel. I pick on us a lot, but I truly believe that no one's better at doing an assessment, matching needs to requirements to solutions, installing, training, supporting, fixing, right? Financing, like I said earlier, warranty work, service parts. That's our freaking bailiwick. That is, So anyway, I think that's where the consortium is going to come in. And we should be able to build this thing out internally, but externally, it could be really big.
And I just want to add my 2 cents. I agree with that 100%. So if you wait for the OEMs, which they are moving fast, they'll develop robots and they'll develop something commercial that's then available to the dealer channel. And that's cool. That's going to happen, right?
Yep.
But this is the opportunity for the dealer channel to take all that expertise and create something of your own and go ground up, right? We're going to build a product that fits the customer need better than the OEM because they kind of don't know. So everybody's going to work together. Everybody's going to benefit at the end. There's plenty of money. There's plenty of opportunity for everybody. But I think this needs to be there's a book I read a long time ago called Groundswell. And it's about this kind of organic kind of creating something. We don't know the final, but we got to get together, share resources, share knowledge. Yeah, we might be competitors. I mean, at the Twain Working Group, there's competitors amongst our working group too.
Yep.
But we all work together for the common cause, and it works. And it works when we contribute and we're honest and we share and we agree that we're going to do something. We don't know the final, but we kind of go in there. And if we do that, we pull it. So this consortium idea is a really fantastic idea, and exactly right. I think these people are the most well equipped with data in their heads, data in their documents that can do this, and they can create really a special thing that's going to be available soon. When I say soon, the months. I mean, you can have almost a MVP done pretty darn quickly, right? So
yeah.
This can be done. So it's not expensive. It's not complicated. It's something that can be done, and you don't have to wait for some big company to dictate my business. No. You are in control of your destiny, and I love that people can have a future, have a succession plan. They can have that 10-15 year plan based on this starting point. So I'm very excited to contribute wherever we can to this. So this is exciting.
Yeah. I mentioned I think it was about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I mentioned to a dealer principal, what are your plans when print is gone?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looked at me like, well, do you think print will end that fast? And I went back and I said, I'm not sure when print will end, but you've got to be prepared for the end of print. Just like all of a sudden, typewriters were no more. There were word processors, and then all of a sudden, the word processors, bang, they were gone.
Yep.
It all happened, I would say, within a three-year period. Nobody was selling typewriters anymore. That's all it took was 3 years for that to happen. But more important, for these larger dealerships and for those that have a succession plan, what what are you going to leave? What do you want to leave them with?
Yeah.
Do you want to leave them with managed IT? I'm not
Whiteout?
sure if that's going to work. Do you want to leave them with a dying print? Or do you want to make that next step and have them prepared for the next 20 to 40 years?
That's perfect. Wow.
With that, we're at our witching hour of 5 o'clock. I want to thank John DeCarlo, as always, for coming on board and giving us his 2 cents. Kevin Neal, great to have you on the show and have your input.
You.
Greg and me, we always like to banter back and forth.
Excellent.
Next week, we'll be back next Friday at 4 o'clock. We'll be on our regular scheduled show, back to MFPs and scanning and copy machines. But today's show was all about humanoids and robots. And we plan on doing these at least once a month or maybe more.
We might, yeah, maybe more. Or maybe.
So everyone come back and see us next week, and please like, follow, and share.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.